So question 11 from the classified paper 6, chemical reaction topic. Question 11, a student is investigating a rate of reaction between the hydrochloric acid and sodium thiosulfate. What actually happened in this reaction when hydrochloric acid mixed with sodium thiosulfate? As a result, it will produce sulfur, which will be precipitate, and the text which is underneath will start to disappear. And if you use a large conical flask, then the depth of a solution will be smaller. As a result, it will take longer time for the text to disappear. If you use a smaller conical flask, the depth of a solution will be more. So it will be difficult to see through it and the text will disappear quickly. So how this experiment is done, using a measuring cylinder, 50 cm cube of a thiosulfate was poured into a conical flask. Initial temperature of a solution was measured and the conical flask was placed on a sheet of paper with the words printed on it. Using the measuring cylinder, 10 cm cube of a hydrochloric acid, and then time for the printed text to disappear was measured. Then we did the experiment 2, we used 50 cm cube at it's heated about 30 degrees. Then experiment 3, we did heated about 40 degrees. Then experiment, so we did not change the amount of the reagents, we just changed the temperature. And calculate the average temperature and record them in the table. So this is a table. Just a minute, I will zoom out, then you can use screen annotation to complete. We need an average. So how to take an average? Add these numbers and divide it by 2. So it will be 19 plus 17 divided by 2. 32 plus 30 divided by 2. 42 plus 40 divided by 2. 54 plus 52 divided by 2. And 65 plus 61 divided by 2. And the time, you can see inside part is representing a minute. The inside part is representing the minutes and outside part is representing the outside part is representing the seconds. So you have to use screen annotation to complete. So 210, 111, 84, 66, and 54. And the average temperature was 18, 31, 41, 43, and 63. So it was 18, 31, 41, 53, and 63. And the time was 210, 111, 84 seconds. This was 66 and 54. The next we have to use this grid and plotter at different temperature with the time and the average temperature. So similar question as we did already, a similar question related to this. So when the average temperature was 18, 10 boxes equals to 10. So each box is 1. So this will be 18. And 210. So this one is 20. And this one is 210. So this will be 18. The second one is 31 and 111. So 30. And on y-axis, 10 boxes equals to 30. So each box is 3. So this one there's 90, 93, 6, 9, 102, 5, 8, 11. And the 31 is there. Then 41 and 84. So this will be 41 and 84. Then we have 53 and 66. This is 50 and 63, 66 and 3 boxes. Then 63 and 54. So this one is representing 54 is there. So 2 boxes below 60. Then we have to draw a curve for this, like joining the results. So as you can see, if we are increasing a temperature, it will take shorter time for the cross to disappear. For this one, it should be a freehand graph, like you should join the points with each other. From your graph, deduce a time for the printed word to disappear from viewing when the experiment 2 was repeated using initial temperature 73 and the final temperature 71. So initial is 73, final is 71. So what will the average temperature, because the graph is for average temperature, so average temperature will be 72. So what you have to do, you have to continue this graph because we don't have 72 on the grid. So what you have to do, you have to continue this graph until you reach 72. Like continue the pattern. And when it is 72, draw a line. So this one is 70, 71, 72. We draw a line from 72 and work out how much time it is. So each box is representing 3, 33, 36, 39, 42, 45. So this will be 45. Is it clear? So the shape of the graph, we follow the trend.
Yes, clear.
We were having these values, but the 72 was not there. So what we did, we continue our graph, we follow the trend. As we follow the trend, from this trend, we draw a line from 72 and work out what is the temperature. Then sketch on the grid the graph you expect if experiment was using more dilute solution of sodium thiosulfate. If we use dilute solution, what will happen? It will take much longer time for the, it will take much longer time. So
same curve, but up.
Yeah, same curve will be there, but up. So the similar pattern, similar curve will be there, but it will be just above the original one. No, this is not about this is not about amount of a product. This is about the time taken by if you are taking a dilute solution, the term dilute solution means like it will have less particles, so less collagen. That's why it will take longer time for the cross to disappear. Here in this one, we don't have a graph for average temperature. Like we don't have the amount of a product. This is not amount of product. This is the time versus the temperature. So for the same temperature, it will take much longer time for this printed text to disappear. So the same curve will be there, just above. Don't start like a common mistake student used to do when they want to plot a graph, like sketch a graph for lower temperature or lower concentration for this one, the time and the temperature graph. So they usually draw like this. That is wrong. Why? Because you cannot start from the same point, as this is not the graph for amount of the reactant or amount of a product. This is a graph for time and temperature. So this at same temperature, it will take longer time. That's why the graph will be identical, but it will be above the original. And you should label that graph. Like example, if the part D is there, so we label part D graph. Then in E1, in which experiment 1, 2, 3, 4 was a rate greatest? So how to work out the rate was greatest? The one which is taking a shorter time. So which experiment it was taking a shorter time? So the last experiment, experiment 5, it was taking short time. It was about like 54 seconds. So it means the reaction was fast. So experiment 5. And then explain in terms of particle why the rate of a reaction was greatest in this. Experiment 5 we did at a high temperature. So if the temperature was higher, it means there will be more frequent collision or particles will have high energy. So it was done at a high temperature. So as a result, the particles have high energy. And when the particles have high energy, there will be more collision, more successive collisions, or greater collision frequency, or greater proportion of the particle have energy more than activation energy. That's why the reaction occur at a higher rate. So more particle with energy more than activation, or greater proportion of the particles will have energy more than activation. That's why the reaction will be faster. Or more kinetic energy, particle move faster, frequent collision between the particles. That you can also mention. Then suggest and explain the effect on the result using a burette to measure the volume. Look, in this case, in this one, how a burette can be effective. Overall, look, burette is more accurate in measuring the volume. It will be accurate to measure volume, but it won't affect the too much in the temperature, because see, the idea is that the temperature, as we like example, the time for a cross to disappear, it won't have too much effect on that. So a burette is used to measure the volume. The burette will be more accurate in measuring the volume. That is one thing. But overall result won't be affected by the burette. So idea is that the burette more accurate compared to measuring cylinder, but overall there will be no effect on the result. Like the time taken by the text to disappear, more or less it will be same. But if we use a 100 cm cube conical flask instead of 250, like first we were using a 250 cm cube conical flask, which was large, having a smaller depth of a solution. If we use a 100 cm cube conical flask, it will have a greater depth. So how it will affect the result? If you use a 100 cm cube conical flask, so it will take less time for the cross. In this one, result will be not 100% same, but it will be approximately, not much big difference is there. Because like if you measure the volume 30 or you measure the volume 29 points, so it won't make very big difference in the time. But this will make much big difference by changing a conical flask. Like not, you can mention burette will be more accurate in measure volume, so very small or negligible effect will be there, or no effect is right. For this one, 250 cm cube will have a smaller depth, so it is taking longer time, but 100 cm cube greater depth, so it will take a short time for the cross to disappear.